I mean, I was told by my film professor, there are films and there are movies. And sometimes you've got to know what you're walking into.
Yeah. See, but I come from a time when movies were films.
Okay, look, you already know this. Deadpool 3 is on its way. It's been here, coming for a pretty long time now. For many years, we've known that Deadpool 3 is happening. So, hey, I've been a little bit excited for it. And you know that in preparation for that new movie, we're going through every single X-Men film. It's been a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. But yet again, I'm still here doing this series. Why? I have no idea. I mean, I'm an idiot. That's part of the reason why. We've seen the entire journey. X-Men 1, 2, 3. And then we went into Origins and First Class, then Wolverine. And now we're going into Days of Future Past, X-Men, which came out in 2014, which is one of the best films out there. I mean, a lot of people say this is the best X-Men film ever, which is definitely a pretty reasonable take. This is definitely, I think, the most consistent film and definitely the highest quality, obviously outside of Deadpool and also Logan. This film is really solid. I really enjoy it, and I'm just happy to really talk about it today. It's been a very, bumpy ride here. A lot of, definitely miss within the X-Men genre, but this one is a really good one. I'm really happy to go into it. So, just for the context of this film, we haven't really had an X-Men film since 2006, ever since X-Men Last Stand. Yeah, sure, we've had X-Men First Class. That's a little bit of a different film, more of a prequel, not really an official X-Men movie. It is, but you know what I mean. It's not really an X-Men film like, X-Men Last Stand, X2 with the main gang. We haven't had that in a long time. So this film definitely was, a very important movie because it's more of a reboot to really merge everything together into one main timeline. I mean, everything already was one main timeline, but, you have the Matthew Vaughn First Class movies and also the Bryan Singer X-Men trilogy before that. So you have to merge everything into one main congruent timeline, which is definitely a lot harder than it sounds. And hey, how did I feel about this film prior to going into it? I've seen this film a lot growing up, like all these X-Men movies. FX played this film a lot as I was growing up as a kid. So I've seen this film numerous amounts of times, yet I didn't really know how I felt about it. I mean, I've always never really thought this movie was exactly bad, but I never really thought that X-Men Days of Future Past was a great film. So I didn't really have a lot of hype going into it. I do love this movie, but I'm not really a fan of it. I mean, I'm more of a fan of like Deadpool, First Class, etc. Those films I like a little bit more than this, but this is definitely still the best X-Men film, regardless of my opinion. As for release and reception, this film performed very, very well in the box office. This film raked in $746 million against a budget of $200 million, which is definitely very highly profitable. This movie also ranked number 6 on the year, which is definitely really good. For the past few films here, I mean, these X-Men movies haven't even broken top 10, which is definitely not a good thing. And also, once again, it's 2014, a very competitive year for films. And we have Transformers Age of Extinction, we have Guardians of the Galaxy, Hobbit. I mean, listen, a very stacked year competitively, so I'm happy this film even broke into the top 10. Over on Rotten Tomatoes, this film has a 90% critic score and a 91% audience score. Definitely a very high Rotten Tomatoes score, and one that I could probably, really respect. I mean, I understand this film, objectively isn't like one of the best films ever made, but still, it has moments where it is really strong, so I definitely understand that 90%. Roger Ebert unfortunately passed away before this film came out, so we do have another review here from his website, which comes to us from Simon Abrams, who gave this film a 2.5 out of 4 stars on that Roger Ebert out of 4 scale. I still don't really like that out of 4 scale for Roger Ebert. It's kind of dumb, but hey, he's still the GOAT. People still follow it. So 2.5 out of 4 here from Simon Abrams. This is what Simon Abrams had to say on his review. Simon said, still on a moment-by-moment basis, Days of Future Past is a fun popcorn movie. While the film's uncanny cast doesn't get enough time to show off, they're still at least charming enough to make you want more. Singer's assured grip on these characters is what makes these X-Men movies the best of the bunch. And I'll talk about that a little bit further on in the episode, but I'll definitely admit this movie does have a lot of good moments, but still, I want more from this film. I mean, I don't know how big the story is in the comics, but it doesn't need to be like Infinity War level, but maybe like a couple notches below that. I mean, this film is definitely very large with its story, with its themes, very thematically broad. So it doesn't really fulfill what it's trying to do, in my opinion. It does have moments of, yeah, this works, but yet again, I have moments where I think, we could dial it up like a few more notches to really fulfill what you're trying to do here. Over on the best app in the world, Letterboxd, this film has a 3.6 out of 5 average. We do have one single review here from Jack Pumpkinhead, who gave this film a 3 out of 5 stars. This is what Jack had to say in his review. Jack Pumpkinhead wrote, I appreciate that this film took the risk of portraying what amounts to a one-off series or an offshoot alternate timeline comic storyline where it's insane and deranged and they have a Helm's Deep level standoff. Comics are very wacky and have the loosest narrative ties, and they should do more things like this more often. And I'll admit, I don't exactly agree with Jack's score entirely, but what he's saying here, I do have to admit, I definitely relate to a little bit. I mean, I understand, everyone thinks that comics should be, to the T, absolutely, a very heavy, consistent timeline. But sometimes a little one-off story, like, something in its own little pocket universe, like Joker, like the Batman, it can work. It doesn't need to be some massive universe all the time. We can have these little fun little team-up things here and there, but it's dumb, it's stupid, it's all just one, comics, people on sheets of paper. So, don't be afraid to just kind of bend the rules a little bit. And I haven't seen Deadpool 3 quite yet, but that's what it kind of looks like they're doing with that film as well. They're kind of bending some of the rules, really just, going against the grain with a lot of the things that people really expect them to do. I don't know exactly who's going to be cameoing inside the new Deadpool and Wolverine film, but they're going to be breaking some rules, making people upset, which is what I'm exactly here for. So, with all that egregious prologue yap time out of the way, it's time for me to go ahead and start diving into X-Men Days of Future Past from 2014 here. Really one of the best X-Men films of all time, maybe the best, depending on who you ask.
To try to stop this crappy future from being set in motion. And why him? Well, we're gonna say that the time travel thing basically shreds your mind, but his can regenerate. Is that just an excuse he came up with to have Wolverine be the star? You're damn right. I respect that.
All right, so starting us off here, if you've been listening to this series even a teeny bit, then you know just how much I love every single opening for every single one of these films. I'm not exactly the biggest X-Men fan. Fox really ruined a lot of what they did with these characters and all these franchises. But I have to admit, these openings for every single film, the good and the bad, have been nothing short of excellent. And this film is no different. Maybe the best opening in this series so far. I mean, we had that Sentinel opening fight scene with Ellen Page coming back, Iceman, Storm, and also seeing just the cataclysmic events of this apocalyptic future with all these Sentinels is really just so effective with such a little bit amount of time. We, number one, get to know all these characters. We have some, returning faces, some new faces as well. We get to know the plot line with all the time travel, bending stuff as well. Really cool there as well. Also, the very, really threatening Sentinel force here. We get to really see the true force and true nature and just how deadly these characters are, which is just really extremely effective. We will need a ton of dialogue, not a ton of exposition. With this very small opening, we already know who the main threat is, what they've done to this world, and also our protagonists for this main film are already introduced, also how they plan to stop the threat as well. All within 10 minutes? It's extremely effective. Time management here, very smart, very well done. I can't give them more props for it. And this film is not exactly a time travel film, but time travel is a pretty heavy element in this film. So, with any time travel movie, whether you're Terminator, whether you're Avengers Endgame, Back to the Future, time travel is just extremely stupid, extremely convoluted, terrible. It's a terrible concept that shouldn't happen. Rick and Morty doesn't do time travel for a reason, because it's stupid, convoluted. No matter what way you do it, time travel will be always just doesn't make sense. A ton of plot holes. This film's so different, but it's whatever. It comes with time travel. It's really cool, but also really dumb. I wish it would just go away, but it's really crucial to this plot. All right, so sorry about the ranting for time travel here, but our main group's introduced. Now we have to send someone back into the past to warn the past X-Men group to save the future. That's, Days of Future Past. That's really funny. Wow, guys, really funny. So who's going to go back in time to do it? Who will it be? Will it be anyone who has been in 5 movies already with 5 different main stories? Iceman, do you want to do it? You don't want to do it. Okay, sure. Storm, you haven't got a lot of screen time. Do you want to do it? No, you don't want to do it either. Wow, that's fun. Cable, hey, this is your first movie ever in. Do you want to be the main guy who goes back? You don't want to do it either. Okay, so who wants to do it? Is it going to be Logan? It's really going to be Logan, isn't it? Logan's going to be in another main movie as the main character. Is it Logan? Really, no one else wants to do it. Logan's going to do it. Okay, sure. So Logan is now the main guy who has to go back in time because, if you time travel back in time, your brain deteriorates. But, Logan, he heals really fast and his brain's been through a lot. So whatever. It's stupid. Another excuse to pay Hugh Jackman $105 million. But, who cares? It doesn't matter. This works a little bit for this character. If anyone else did it, it would be kind of weird and dumb. This works for the plot. It makes the most sense. If it was anyone else, it wouldn't really work. So Logan goes back in time, meets up with old Charles. I love seeing depressed Charles in this film. Depressed Charles is just really incredible. I mean, seeing who Charles becomes and then knowing that a character like Charles Xavier, who was just supposed to be this massive beacon of hope, was at one point extremely depressed and lost his way, is really inspiring. It's really everything that I love about these characters and about superheroes in general. The ability to just really link personal life to these big characters is really incredible. It's really just, effortless the way they do it, but still extremely effective. So blah, 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 whatever. For some reason, hey, we found Charles, but, in order for us to find Mystique, because she started this whole thing, we need to go back and find Magneto. And Magneto's in jail, because he just is an absolute menace to society. So, of course, Magneto's in jail for what exactly? He killed JFK. We'll get to that a little bit later. But yeah, Magneto, he killed JFK. So now we got to go back in time, find Charles. Charles is found. Now we got to go back and break Magneto out of prison, out of the Pentagon. And this is, for one movie, you guys have like one day to save the time. And this is like really everything. It seems very convenient. I mean, whatever. Plot armor at the end of the day. What are you going to do? But, in order for them to break out Magneto, we need to go and get Quicksilver, and then we recruit Quicksilver, and then we have to go now to break out Magneto. So that's like a large chunk of the film is spent on breaking Magneto out of jail. That's, a lot of the, time for this movie, a little bit wasted, but, whatever, it's all set up at the end of the day. But hey, at the very least, this whole Magneto prison breakout sequence is very cool. It's a whole lot of fun. I mean, I love Quicksilver in this movie. I do love Aaron Taylor Johnson in Avengers Age of Ultron, but in this movie, he may be at his coolest. I'm not going to lie. I mean, the time in the bottle, big, kitchen sequence, that's absolute chef's kiss cinema right there. That may be the best scene in the film. Perhaps, maybe. All right, but yeah, sweet, cool. So now Magneto's out of jail. That's cool. And now they need to go and find Mystique before she kills that, Tyrion Lannister guy from Game of Thrones. That's pretty cool. We got to go to that now, so we got to go on a plane and fly over to her. Once again, extremely convenient that all of this is happening. Nothing's really going wrong for them. And also, they do all of this with like little time to spare. So, that's kind of convenient. I don't know. It seems like a lot of plot armor, a little bit, convenient. I'm not a fan of it. But, we still have our turning point in the film, which I didn't think would come. But of course, if you break Magneto out of a jail, what's going to happen to him. He's going to go out there and turn into another menace. Exactly what he does. Turns on the entire group. Who knew? Who would have thought? And I hate to be all like a negative Nancy with this movie, but that's kind of why I'm not really a fan of it. Everything just kind of falls into place. The story seems just like, unoriginal, unauthentic. That sounds really bad, but I just don't really click with this movie. It does have the bones to be great, and it is really good, I'll admit, but it's really a love-hate relationship with this movie. I'm not really a fan of it. Never really have been. But still, Magneto being a menace tries to, kill Mystique. And that's, just completely horrific. That sequence is really incredible as well. Him hunting her down in that crowd, her shape-shifting into people around her, him immediately knowing and still just pulling her with the bullet still in her leg. That's just really incredible, extremely horrific, but also just incredibly effective. But also during this sequence, we have, Logan sees that one Stryker guy who captured him up and he really made him Wolverine. We see him, a younger version of him. Wolverine sees him, which turns him, into this crazy psychedelic sequence, which is really cool. I love that sequence in this movie. But that's when in the future we see Wolverine, he stabs Ellen Page in the stomach, because I don't know Ellen Page's superhero name. So, he stabs Ellen Page in the stomach. And that in this movie is actually where the road cut for Days of Future Past gets introduced. And you may be wondering, Logan, what's the road cut? I have no idea what that is. And I didn't know what it was either until like yesterday, because the road cut is actually an alternative cut of this movie where we were supposed to have Rogue come back in this movie, like from the Rogue from the first 3 X-Men films, but she never did. I don't know why they cut that out of this movie. She definitely was like top biller for this film to come back and paid a lot of money, so I'm not sure why she wouldn't be in the theatrical cut. I actually really enjoy the way they, introduce her character. It is, a little bit of a kind of like advertent, like, stop to the movie to go to something else, but I still really enjoy it. I guess for the sake of this episode, me really actually liking the road cut for this movie, I'll quickly give a little bit of a TLDR for the road cut. It doesn't really matter. I guess it's a spoiler, but this is like 10 years old at this point, so who really cares? So in the road cut of this movie, Wolverine stabs Ellen Page in the stomach. She gets injured. So now we have Iceman and Magneto. They go back to the old Charles Xavier X-Men mansion, school for gifted youngsters. They find Rogue in that mansion, held prisoner by some random guys. They have to save her, then bring her back to Wolverine so she can finish off the procedure of the time travel adventure stuff. Now, like I said, is that a very heavy stop to the movie to go to something else entirely and then bring her back? Yes, it absolutely is. But is it also just extremely fun and sounds like a, little bit, brighter side to this movie? Yeah, it is. I love that so much. Is it also, once again, extremely convenient for these characters to happen to know where Rogue is, and everything happened just perfectly fine, perfectly all right. They don't run into any Sentinels. They go back to Rogue, capture Rogue back, and bring her back completely unharmed. Yeah, it's convenient. It's stupid. I'm not really a fan of it. But would I have liked to see that in this movie? Yeah, it works. It's fun. It's goofy. It's kind of weird. It's kind of dumb. But still, I welcome stuff like that with this movie. Instead, we don't end up getting that in this movie, which is very disappointing. But, whatever. We do get Magneto going off, Susan Sentinels, and we also get Charles Xavier with that mirror reflection scene. I'll say that is the best scene in this movie and also just one of the best scenes in this series so far. I just love the character of Charles Xavier and him being face to face with the older version of himself, looking into Logan's mind, saying that he doesn't want his pain, he doesn't want his future, is just truly heartbreaking. It's really everything that I love about the character and also Logan really meshed together with one single sequence that's extremely, extremely well done. And especially with Charles Xavier being at such a low point with this movie, and really the only person that can really save him is himself, is just so well done. Just a beautiful telling of mental illness, mental health. It's just really good. I can't say enough about that scene. It speaks for itself on all fronts. I absolutely love it. Whenever I see that one sequence in this film with both the Charles Xaviers, I kind of get like how Thanos was in Avengers Endgame, telling Nebula, perhaps I treated you too harshly. That's exactly how I feel. This movie, I critiqued it a lot, I'll admit. It's not exactly a bad film, one that I just don't really like, but that one scene changes everything for me. And just like that, though, we're already in the third act for this movie. Yeah, I know, it's third act already, which feels weird. I think this film is paced really fast and also just kind of waste time. Like I said, a large chunk of the movie here with, breaking Magneto out of prison and then, leading into the third act. I feel like it doesn't really take advantage of any of this that's happening. I mean, yeah, this film is 2 hours and 31 minutes, but I'll admit, I think that maybe this film could have possibly benefited from being 3 hours long, like Avengers Endgame. Yeah, I understand that, that's a lot to ask for. This movie already does so much, but still, I feel like it could have benefited from just a little bit more time. Maybe just more time for more quiet moments, but still, I think that this movie does a lot of this, same old, but, just not as good at times. Like I said, a lot of the moments with Charles Xavier, with Logan, and also, like, a little bit earlier in the film, we have Charles Xavier reaching out to Mystique inside the airport. That's just absolutely brilliant as well, but really, it feels like this movie is like more of a first class remastered. It feels like, a lot of, first class stuff, which made it really good. And then, hey, let's just add a little bit more to infuse it, make a little bit, quote unquote, better movie. But it's not really better. It is the best film in this franchise so far that we've talked about here. But still, I feel like, first class kind of had its own rhythm and flow to it. This movie tries to replicate, and it does a little bit, but still doesn't feel like its own movie at times, which is kind of weird. But whatever, the third act for this movie is still pretty fire. I'm not gonna lie, the action's really cool on both fronts, the past and the future. It all looks incredible, extremely ambitious. It's kind of just like two movies meshed together, which is just a very tall task for Bryan Singer, and he cooked here immensely. Just starting us off here, the suit for Magneto in the past is just scrumptious, extremely simple, but still, it's beautiful, it's breathtaking. Also, Magneto pulling a baseball field out of the ground and bring it over to the White House. I mean, like, what can't he do exactly? I mean, he already picked up the San Francisco Bridge in Last Stand, and this movie, he's doing a stadium. In the X-Men 94, he literally, like, turned off the Earth's gravitational pull with metal or whatever. So, yeah, he's psychotic, he's crazy strong, but I love Magneto so much in this movie, and really throughout all these films and all these properties, Magneto's always done incredibly well. And also in the future, the fight scenes in the future here are just really incredible. I mean, everyone gets their own moment. Storm, obviously, she dies, which is just done dirty. I know she's not exactly dead, but Storm in this movie, didn't really talk about her a lot because there's not much to talk about. Storm is, really once again pushed to the back seat. Originally in this film, Storm was supposed to have a bigger role in the movie, but, she got pregnant. Not Storm got pregnant. The actress from real life got pregnant. That would be kind of weird, but maybe also kind of cool as well. But no, Storm didn't get pregnant inside the film. Storm got pregnant in real life. The actress did, not Storm herself. Not trying to be confusing here. So yeah, I understand here, but Storm is a character who's never been done good. I mean, this is the last time we see Halle Berry in the role of Storm, and she came back, which I'm happy about, but still, I would have wanted more from her. I mean, she's still really cool, but I still just really want more from this character. And we're going to be going here into the, new gen of X-Men characters with, Apocalypse, and also we have Phoenix. I'm really rolling my eyes right now because I don't want to talk about those films, but still, I know I have to. I hate myself for having to do this series, but whatever. We're going to keep on going here. So maybe, I may come into a different light. Storm and Apocalypse was kind of cool, but, she kind of fell off after that. So, she never got her justice. Maybe in the MCU, Kevin Feige can cook. But sorry, overall, the future fight scenes are really cool. Magneto comes out, gets his moment, and this really incredible Helm's Deep level story, Helm's Deep level final battle is just really incredible. I mean, only Helm's Deep can be Helm's Deep, but still, this movie is really incredibly done. A third act that's definitely very, very underappreciated. I think if you want, a better breakdown of this, whole movie as a whole, go watch Eric Voss on New Rockstars. I know it's kind of bad to plug someone else in my own podcast episode. The producer's gonna be really mad at me for that again, but still, go watch Eric Voss. He does a really good job at breaking down this whole movie, and I really can't do any better than him. He's the GOAT. But still, the action for this movie is really good. Mainly the third act, also just really, really good. The future gets, a lot of the flasher sequences, but in the past, we get more of the thematically rich stuff in here. I mean, just like mainly, I guess, the main premise of this entire film is Mystique trying not to kill Tyrion Lannister, but, yet again, she has every right to. She has every right to be a villain, and yet she doesn't, which I really love. That really is what ends this entire dark future, not someone being killed, but someone being spared. That's really just really incredible. A nice little tidbit there. That's really something that could be expanded on a lot. And in a lot of, these superhero films, the villain, almost always needs to die in some crazy tragic explosion. In this film, that doesn't happen, which is, hey, I love that. That's really good. I like when villains don't die, Villains are really cool. They really just, a lot of layers built onto them. And Tyrion Lannister in this movie has a lot of good layers to him. And, sadly, he doesn't come back, but I wish he did. He was pretty good in this role. I don't know if anyone else is exactly, done dirty in this third act besides Storm. I mean, Wolverine, he doesn't get that much to do here in the third act. He kind of gets placed on the bench in the final quarter of the game. That doesn't make any sense, but, whatever. Give some more people time to shine, so that's cool. But yeah, there's not much else for me to really critique on for this third act. I mean, everything is done really well. I mean, there's not a lot I can say bad about this third act. Everyone has their moment, action-wise, and also thematically. There's a lot of fun stuff in here as well. Do I think that there could have been just, more characters and just, more of this third act and more of this movie as a whole? Yeah, I could have definitely wanted more and could have seen more with what they had. But still, they did a pretty good job what they had to do. I mean, as, looking back in the past, X-Men films haven't been all good, and this is really one of the better ones out there, which I really respect. So yeah, hey, Mystique, she doesn't kill Tyrion Lannister. The timeline gets reset into a, good timeline here where it doesn't have a very dark future. And then we go into Logan's perspective now, where he's transported to the future. This is a happy ending here, which I really love. Well, actually, no, never mind. This isn't a happy ending at all because of Logan, and everyone in this movie dies, so that's actually really tragic as well. But look, ignore that, very dark neo-noir movie that we have coming up here. But in this ending, we're really happy. We have everyone back again. We have Rogue, Iceman. We have, really everyone back here. The core X-Men group back together here. Even Beast, that one cool Beast from Last Stand, he gets back thrown in here too. Also, Jean Grey and Cyclops get back as well. I was smiling ear to ear at this third act here. This little final little moment tidbit here made me smile ear to ear. That's, really, I think, one of the better ways to really conclude this film and also really just merge these timelines together, because not much exactly changed with our main X-Men group here, but still we have everything reset into, one main timeline, and also you have it reset to where you can do all those past X-Men films like Apocalypse and Dark Phoenix. You can do all that as well, which didn't end good at all. They really just butchered this entire franchise here from here on out, but still, they had hope, a really, fake glimmer of light at the end of the tunnel to be better than the MCU before they just absolutely just had abysmal after abysmal film. Besides Logan and Deadpool, those were good, but everything else, absolute dog water. But also there's one little tiny little thing here at the very end of the film. We have Logan getting taken out of the water in the 80s, And then we have, Stryker here, who's, looking over Logan, obviously leading into the X program stuff, but yet it's Mystique here as Stryker. That doesn't make any sense. I mean, that's literally what I had to put in my notes, because in the movie, that doesn't make sense. It's kind of weird. Why are you doing this? I mean, why is Mystique taking Logan out of the water? But it doesn't really matter. Mystique doesn't really ever get brought up again with Logan, so who really cares? That was just a very weird little thing they added in there. Doesn't lead anywhere. They weren't cooking. I don't know who told them they can cook, because they really just could not. But hey, it doesn't matter. The movie's over. That's it. Days of Future Past, we're finished. We're done with Days of Future Past. Now we got to go into, I don't even want to say their names because it's just that bad, so who cares? But before this episode's over, we have to go through superlatives. What is superlatives? It's the best time of the entire episode, the most fun you'll have, and we're about to go into it in the next 3 or 4 seconds. So here we go.
You are a blowfish.
What? Lady, whatever you're selling, I ain't buying, yo.
Well, my name is Skylar White, yo.
I get a spot? Okay.
All right, so superlatives, it's here, it's hip, it's now, it's wow. We're going to go ahead and go through all the superlatives, all the awards, including the MVP. I'm going to get through this very quickly. We're going to go through a nice little speed run here. Get you guys out of here in the next 5 minutes. Let's do that. All right, starting us off here, the best scene in the movie is obviously Charles and Charles, the hope scene. You can give them hope. Charles really just delving into his own mind with himself is just really incredible. That's the best scene in the movie by far. My favorite quote in the movie, definitely also by far, not even a debate, is I don't want to have your suffering, I want to have your future. Also from Charles Xavier, who just really crushes it in that scene. Absolutely incredible performance. Extremely just, emotionally shattering, seeing Logan's upbringing as well. Having him say that to him is just really just, heartbreaking. One small change for this movie, one little teeny tiny change for this film is more. That's not that much of a small change, but still I want more. I want more Mystique. I want more of these characters. I want just more X-Men in this movie, in the future and in the past. Is this budget already probably really crazy? Yeah. Is it already 2.5 hours long? Yeah. Again, yeah. But still, this movie deserves to be a bigger film. It needs to be, more of like an Endgame level event with X-Men. Why not? You can definitely afford it. You can definitely do it. So go ahead and go for it. And now if this film was made today, it would be very different for just, in terms of scale and budget. It would be just a lot more money, a lot more characters. But they definitely could have done this back in the day. You could definitely do it. So why didn't you? We'll never know. But if I was directing it, I would add more stuff in here. Double Trouble, what's a really good double feature for X-Men Days of Future Past? I would say go into X2 and then go into Days of Future Past. It's really just, very fluent. It works really well. If anything, don't watch anything else and just go right into Days of Future Past. Will save yourself hours of time, unlike me, but, who cares? If this film was a song, what would it be? And it's definitely not one that I was expecting to pick, but just one that ended up rolling onto my mind when I thought of this film. And if this film was a song, it would definitely be Under Pressure by Queen. Is that partly because I just watched After Sun and Under Pressure gives me a little bit of emotional shatter? Yeah, a little bit, teeny bit, but still, I love that song. It's one of the best of all time, so I'm going to throw it in here. A couple more things before we get out of here. We have Buzz from the Backlot and then MVP. But before that, Buzz from the Backlot, what is it exactly? Well, Buzz from the Backlot is just movie fun facts. That's exactly what we do. Movie fun facts, quick little tidbits, quick little cookies for you to, use in your daily life, an interview, a date, whatever. Maybe even in church. Maybe you have to impress your pastor. Maybe you have to do that. So a quick little film fun fact might suffice your pastor or your crush or your interviewer for your new job. It can help you out, I promise you. Maybe you're applying for an FHA loan for a new house. Then hey, a quick little film fun fact, it'll get you right in there. So we got 3 here as usual. For our first slow movie fun fact, we have, including his cameo in X-Men First Class 2011, this is Hugh Jackman's 7th portrayal of Logan, aka Wolverine, which raised his own record for the most times a comic book character has been played by the same actor in theatrical movies. I'm pretty sure that, Samuel Jackson and also Robert Downey Jr. just really obliterated this number. But, for right now, this is definitely the record. He's the GOAT. He's incredible. I really want to see him again. I'm seeing him again soon. My GOAT comes back to theaters later this month. I'm hyped for it. According to Peter Dinklage, Bryan Singer picked him to play the role of Bolivar Trask because of his height, stating, "With my dwarfism, I'm a bit of a mutant myself. I can't, move metal or anything, but I can definitely have this, self-loathing deep down. Trask is quite sensitive about his aspect of himself that really makes the character work." That's absolutely true. I mean, Peter Dinklage, obviously well known for Tyrion Lannister, but, in this movie, he's really good. But, he's also kind of typecast. He definitely deserves an Oscar, 5-10 years ago. But, who cares? Let's move on here to the final fun fact of the day. According to Bryan Singer, he can only get this movie started with the confidence once Hugh Jackman, Sir Patrick Stewart, and Ian McKellen agree to return for their roles in this movie. And that's definitely just 100% true. I mean, without these main three guys, this film doesn't work at all. It just does not happen. Even without Hugh Jackman, I mean, you know, if you have Hugh Jackman, still Sir Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, they really make these characters. It just wouldn't feel the same without them. But that's Buzz from the Backlot. Go ahead and use that on your new date on Tinder and also on your new interview. Use those fun facts, elevate your life. I'm happy to see it. Post your little fan mode down below to give us your, confessions and, your praise reports, because it's really going to happen. I definitely believe it. All right, and for our final award of the night, we have our MVP. This is the biggest award of the night and one that I've definitely been anticipating for a long time now. So for our MVP, we have a lot of really good nominees: Hugh Jackman, Sir Patrick Stewart, Sir Ian McKellen, and also we have Michael Fassbender and James McAvoy. All of them a five-headed goat right there. This film will not work without any of them not stepping into the role. But there can only be one MVP. I just got the votes counted up. We had the votes counted, recounted like 2 times, and it's no secret. The MVP for this film goes to James McAvoy. Congratulations, sir. You won your first MVP. I don't think he won for first class. That was Michael Fassbender. But hey, he won for his MVP here. We're going to go ahead and mail it out to him. He's been pretty busy with stuff, but I'm really happy for him. He definitely deserved this one. He got snubbed last time, but this time I'm really happy for him. My final score for Days of Future Past is a B. Not a B minus, not a B plus, just a B, a solid B. This is right now the best X-Men film. For a long time, I was saying it's Deadpool. It's definitely still Deadpool as the best movie. Then, I had to stop my arrogance, had to sit back, breathe, and say, yeah, it's this one. Days of Future Past is just really good. I mean, it's a really good movie. Overall, really solid. I'm definitely pleasantly surprised. I can't wait to see what else they do, with the MCU, with Kevin Feige. Listen, Kevin Feige hasn't been cooking recently, but I still trust him. He's still the same guy who did a lot of good at Marvel, so he's going to do the X-Men justice. I just can't wait for it. And my big question for you before I get guys out of here, is this the best reboot ever made? I think it probably is. I mean, reboots usually don't really work, but this one, it does a really good job at really just seamlessly just edging forward a brand new timeline with brand new characters really effortlessly, which I really love. Even though, like I said, past this movie, everything's just utter garbage, but still, they had the opportunity to do really whatever they wanted to, and it would make slight sense. Not entirely sense. It was still just really dumb, like a lot of the sins that they decided to make with Apocalypse and also Dark Phoenix, but still, what they did moving forward, sometimes they cooked a teeny bit, but besides that, they didn't cook at all. But hey, until next time, we're going to be talking about Apocalypse next. I don't really want to, but it's my job. I signed up for it. I get paid for it. I don't get paid, actually. I'm actually broke from this job of podcasting, but still, I somewhat love this. So, we're going to go ahead and talk about Apocalypse next. But until next time, stay swagged out, stay cool, watch more movies. And also, I'm your host, Logan, and I'll see you guys in the movies.